Oh, Happy New Year, everybody. I'm George Cavanaugh, your host of Cocktails with Cav, coming to you with the first show of 2024. Got to thank everybody in the audience. Y'all been so good to us, and this is going to be a banging new year with a great lineup of guests, some live remotes. Oh, it's just going to be a fun time. Like I said, you're going to want to follow us. Hit that bell for all the notifications so you never miss a show. It really is going to be something this year, and I'm looking forward to what the new year brings. I got my festive first of the year show cocktail, a little vodka and orange juice, and everybody pour one, sit back and relax for tonight's show. We have a great author coming to you live from Waikiki, Hawaii tonight. Roy Huff going to talk about his incredible series, Time Travel in Everville, that's available everywhere. It's just going to be a good show, so you want to stick around. Let's take care of a little quick housekeeping. As always, got the QR code to support the show. It'll be up all show long. It'll take you straight to our Buy Me a Coffee page. You just want to get us a cheap cup of coffee and help us keep bringing you great authors, entertainers, and artists all year long. Like I said, just a cheap cup of coffee is all it takes at buymeacoffee.com. And if you really want to get crazy and support the show, we got our merch page. That thing, you're just going to want to check that out. We got all kinds of good stuff. T-shirts, coffee mugs. Oh, and we did get a request for a ladies V-neck t-shirt. So 2024, we're looking forward to trying to get that for you, a ladies V-neck, since we had a few requests for it, and see if that helps on some merch sales to support the show. Well, enough of all of that. Let's get to our great guest. Like I said, the incredible author Roy Huff, coming to you live from Waikiki, Hawaii. Oh, how you doing, Roy, my friend? I'm so glad you could join us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
You coming to us live from Waikiki, beautiful Waikiki. How is it out there?
It's great. I mean, I love it. I've lived here now for almost 30 years. Yeah, this year makes 30 years. So.
Yeah. Where are you from originally?
Well, I grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. My father was, he was in the military for a little bit, and then lived in Kentucky till I was 6, and then we moved to Charlotte when I was 6 years old, and came here to go to college, and I stayed. So I've been here since I've been 17.
No, that's the way to do it. That's right. Nope, I'm not leaving. No. Oh, that's amazing. So, I've actually never been to Hawaii, and I mean, obviously it's, beautiful state, and so what do you do for fun out there? You go volcano climbing, or?
It's funny you mentioned volcano climbing. I mean, one of my jobs is actually I developed Hawaii's first volcanic smog model. So I actually wrote a peer-reviewed paper on the Kilauea volcano and the VOG that I predicted, where the VOG would going to be. So it's volcanic smog. So I did that for a while, and then after that, I was working on a grant for NASA for GOZAR. But for fun, I mean, you just walk out to the beach. I mean, my wife and I, we go hiking all the time. We went hiking today at Cocoa Head near Hanauma Bay. It's really beautiful out there.
That's amazing. Yeah, and it definitely sounds like you're scientifically grounded from your university education then.
Yeah, I love science. Love it.
I imagine so with your genre, right? That's your writing.
Yeah, it definitely helps.
Yeah, how did you get into writing anyway?
I was working on my 4th degree at the time, and I had to do a creative writing paper for an English class, and so this was actually the paper that eventually became my first book, Everville. So like we had to share, our paper with other students. And then one of the students said, oh, I could read a whole story about Everville. And then I was like, I could do that, I think. So, that became my first book a couple of years later.
Right. And I mean, that eventually became a series, or?
Yeah. So I have four books in this series. That was my first series. And then I did a nonfiction Think Smart, Not Hard book after that series. And then I've started a time travel series. So I published the first book in the time travel series back in 2020. And actually I had been sitting on it for a couple of years. And then right when the lockdown came, I said, okay, well, this is a great time for me just to publish it. I have it. I had the first draft done, and I polished it, and then I published it a few months later, and it did really well. Got a lot of offers for the audiobooks. And yeah, it's kind of taken off from there.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. And it's, that's kind of an amazing transition. You find a lot of, moving to the writing arts from such a heavy scientific background. I mean, did you, I imagine the genre you're writing in, is it kind of it was second nature launching?
I'm a Trekkie, I grew up on Star Trek. I mean, it's, everything about it, I love it, so it's a perfect fit. It's like Sheldon on Big Bang Theory, right? I mean, it's perfect.
right, but no, it's an amazing amount of work, obviously, for each series that you have up, and just why don't you let me pull them back up for everybody to kind of see. When you talk about, you started Everville coming off of just, this creative writing paper. I mean, can you tell us a little about the series and what was the
which one, Everville?
Yeah, sure.
It really was just a paper. And so like I had a character, Owen Sage, and he's going to college, and he falls into this portal and ends up in this other world called Everville. And then, so he starts to learn that he has this background that he didn't know he had. And so, he has to save the world, basically. Like most books, you got to save the world, so like.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So, that's the basic thing behind it. And so there's these creatures and that he has to, fight, and he has to get the help of his friends and everything to help him out. So that's basically the main part of that series.
Yeah, it looks like an extremely interesting series. You had The Fall of Brackenbone, The Rise of Mallory, City of Worms, and The First Pillar, I believe.
Yeah.
And moving along, what got you into the time travel series?
Well, I always liked time travel, and actually I was sitting on it for a couple of years, and, I think Groundhog Day it still is probably my favorite movie of all time.
Right.
I've watched it like 50 times. So, there's a lot of time looping in there. There's a unique aspect of time travel. If you read the book, you'll learn about it. And, there are some things that I didn't like, I don't like the idea of paradoxes personally. I think they're kind of stupid. So I wanted to write something where there's no paradox, where, we're going to disappear in the future or something. So, it definitely has the multiverse element in there, but I don't want to give away too much, but there's a lot of interesting things that are happening. It looks at different aspects of time travel and the universe, and I introduced the concept of the holographic universe and a few other things to kind of explain some of the science behind the time travel. But I think a lot of sci-fi, part of it's escapism, part of people they like time travel. I think if you could redo things, what would they be? So I think there's a lot of that in there. and I think it's fun to kind of think about. I think a lot of people think about, if you could redo things over and over again. Yeah. And as you get older, like you have a different perspective. I think, when the first idea came into my head about time travel, I think I wanted to do a whole bunch of stuff over again. And now I'm just kind of like a place in my life where I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of glad things went the way they did, even the bad stuff, because like it helps you learn who you are and you have some, interesting, instances of serendipity and a lot of stuff. So, so you just go into a different place.
Yeah. And the topic of time travel, obviously, like you said, fascinates a lot of people. And I think as we watch the exponential growth of technology happening right before our eyes, that it makes it even more interesting as a genre. But do you find that some of the things you're writing about in a futuristic sense or whatever, I mean, I know how long it takes to get a work through and finish it up and get it to market, Heck, some things, have you ever had that come up on you where some things that you were writing about in a futuristic sense are all of a sudden happening while you're writing the book?
Yeah, I mean, 2020 was an interesting year, right?
Right.
I mean, yeah, and I wrote the book, I think it was 2017. I think I wrote it in maybe September, around there. So a lot of things happened, in the few years since I wrote the first draft. And I had to make, quite a few references and a few changes here and there in the first book.
Right.
Life is funny that way.
Yeah, I could see it happening. That's for sure. But it's and how, we talk a lot to different authors about how the technique for the stories develop for you as you're writing. And, do you have any kind of specific technique that you use? Are you a start to finish kind of guy, or a beginning and end and flesh out the skeleton?
I think I've done kind of everything, really. I mean, I used to be more of a marathon writer, and I think the last few years, because I travel a lot now, I used to, during my vacation time, I would, pound out a book. I think my second book I wrote in 6 days. So, I mean, I've written them pretty fast. Yeah, I mean, I've done 40, 50 page days and, but my last couple of books I wrote over the course of a year. Especially the last one, I'm kind of adopting a page a day kind of strategy. Just and then I get up really early. I get up at around 4 a.m. So I try to get a page a day in the morning, and then in the afternoon I'll do some editing. So I like to have kind of a rough outline, but not my first series. I had no outlines, and then what I started to do is just have a little bit of an idea. Kind of an idea where I want to go with the ending, the main characters, a few things, and then I'll just kind of fill in the outline as I go. So I think that's kind of where I am. But I think I'm going to move more, and I've been moving more towards a little bit more of a detailed outline, not too detailed, but just a couple of ideas about a scene or two in each of the chapters, and then just kind of move from there as I write. And I think that's working for me.
Yeah. So. The fourth book, Time Travel Universe, I believe just kind of came out in...
it just came out on Friday. I had a pre-release up for about a month or so, but it just came out, just went live on Friday.
Oh, awesome. And I tell you, we talk a lot about marketing too as a indie author and getting it out there. What are you doing since, I really wanted to talk to you about that, given the amount of work you have, because it is, obviously for an indie author, and it's tough, the marketing aspect, because you don't have that huge marketing department to support you or whatever. But what are you doing as far as pushing your works?
Well, I do a lot of, I used to do with my first series, I did free promos. I don't do free promos anymore, because a lot of times you give stuff away for free and then they don't pay for it. Right. So what I'll do, I run discount promos now, when I'm running, right now I'm having a discount, a 99-cent promo for the second book in the series. And I had one for the first book leading up to a few weeks ago. So they work really well. And then I have kind of constant advertising on Amazon, That really gets me my best ROI. I had a book club promotion in the UK for the first book a few weeks ago. So, those are tough if you can get them. But yeah, that works. I mean, the discount promos work. I do other kinds of advertising. And then, of course, I have my website. I have like a little free short story that I give out to collect people's emails so that I can get them on my list and let them know about, projects that I have and that kind of thing. So that's kind of primarily what I'll do. Amazon, discount promos, and then my email that I send out.
Well, that's I tell you, it's a nonstop grind, to make sure you get your work in front of people, because that's really what it is. And I actually love the sci-fi genre just because a lot of the events you can, post yourself in to let people know about your work are just always a decent time. It's because I love meet the author events that we have around here as well, and in New Orleans, and when I travel around, those are fun as well. But sci-fi in particular as a genre always has great conventions. That's what, yeah. And well, do you find you get a huge base from that? Any kind of those events, or do you mainly stick to internet advertising, that type of thing?
Yeah, I've been to a couple of events. I don't really promote them there. So I have I'm on Twitter quite a bit, interacting with people there. Twitter's probably where I reach out the most. I do a little bit of stuff on Facebook. So it's primarily online. I don't really go out to events too much. I travel a lot, but I don't really go to too many events. I think I would like to go more. So, I think at some point I'll start to go more. But yeah, primarily I do things online.
Yeah, I think it's more like obviously I'm kind of a people person. I'm always talking to somebody, so it's running my mouth, I guess,
Yeah.
It's probably because I like to hear myself talk like my ex-wife used to say. I don't know.
I think we all kind of like to hear ourselves talk. I think that's kind of human nature, right?
Well, are you working on, is this going to be the last book in the series for the time travel series?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm working on an outline I have kind of a base outline for the next book. I don't know how many I'm going to do in this. Honestly, I don't. I have a space opera that I've started to write, and I don't know how many. That'll probably be my next series. So I'm not sure when I'm kind of itching to get that space opera out. And the space opera really is something that's been with me for a long time. I mentioned that it's a huge trackie, so I don't know, 35 years I've been thinking about doing a space opera. Kind of.
Right.
So I kind of would like to do that. So I'm not sure. I'm thinking about next year or the year after that getting that space opera out. So we'll just kind of have to see how it goes. I might be doing 2 books, one in each series. So we'll kind of have to see how things play out. But I think I'm going to write the series arc first before I move forward with the rough draft of the first book. I have about 4 chapters in that first book, and I have an outline for the first book, but I want to kind of flesh out a lot of the characters and make it more of add a lot more world building to that space opera series. So we'll just see how it pulls me away from the current series, and maybe I can do both at the same time, or maybe I'll just go into the other one. We'll see. Yeah. But I'll definitely have at least one more that's going to come out. I might step away from it for a while and do some more. We'll see.
Yeah, it sounds like we got a scoop on Cocktails with Cap, man. We're waiting for the space opera, that's for sure. But no, I tell you what, well, your series are definitely fascinating. I hope everybody definitely checks out. They're all available on Amazon, obviously, and royhuff.net. And ladies and gentlemen, I know hadn't mentioned it yet, and I always have a backwards camera problem, but directly above us, look, we have the QR code to take you straight to royhuff.net, where you can view all of his great works, his series Time Traveling and Everville. And yeah, Roy, I tell you what, I'm so glad you came on, let the viewers get to know you and talk about your work. I mean, is there anything else I missed in your work that you want to let everybody know about?
No, I think that's it. I mean, I think the time travel series I'm pushing really hard right now. So like, Podium Audio's got the audiobooks out. I'm really thankful that Podium Audio was gracious enough to,
Right.
Give me a contract and help me put those audiobooks out. So those that like to listen, they can, jump onto Audible and download those.
Yeah, I guess I forgot to mention I was a professional audiobook narrator, Roy. No, I was. I want the space opera, Roy. No, but no, I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, please, and I know I got to know Roy on X. He's a great writing community member. And by all means, please go follow him over on X. He's at Real Roy Huff. Give him a follow, and that way you can keep up with all of his great work that's not only out but coming out as well, his future work. But again, yeah, just please, go visit his site, royhuff.net. It'll be right on that QR code, and check those out and give him a follow on X. And Roy, look, really, I appreciate you taking the time coming to us live from Waikiki, man. It's I'm glad we could coordinate it up.
Thank you for having me. I do appreciate it.
No problem. And look, if you ever need anything when your new work comes out, please remember Cocktails with Cav. We'd love to have you back on.
Will do. Thank you so much.
All right, Roy. Cheers, man.
All right. Cheers.